I'm proud of the campaign that we've run to unify our country and to advocate conservative solutions that would give more Americans the opportunity to rise up and reach their God-given potential. But the people of Iowa and New Hampshire and South Carolina have spoken, and I really respect their decision. So tonight, I am suspending my campaign. No. Yeah. Thank you, Ben.
With Governor Jeb Bush now out, where will his support go, and can Trump pick up any of his voters?
Dana Perino, co-host of The Five, followed the primary as it unfolded last night. She's here to weigh in. Well, you know, the writing was on the wall. Jeb said, you know, the people of Iowa and New Hampshire and South Carolina have spoken, and not in the cards for him.
And they spoke very clearly. His campaign spent a lot of money, more money than any other. They didn't have much to show for it. I thought the timing last night was interesting, that he didn't wait a couple of days to think about it. He was just decisive. I thought it was a real moment of patriotic grace. Didn't talk about anybody else in the campaign. He just talked about himself. And I think that moment where he has a little bit of emotion is that, imagine all the people that you're disappointing. Okay, it's all the people in the room, all your volunteers, everybody that's worked for you, and possibly your family. The good thing for him and for all of us that have the benefit of having the unconditional love of our parents and our siblings is that he'll be warmly welcomed back into pedestrian life, the civilian life, and he won't have to worry about the campaign anymore.
It was a classy exit.
Always.
And then what do you think about the donors? Are they Bush's donors? Are they going to go to Rubio? And will the voters of Bush go to Rubio as well?
And there are a significant number of donors with a lot of money. Again, but however, remember, money hasn't been a big deciding factor in any of these races so far. However, if you're one of the candidates that needs to put some more money in the bank so you can keep your operations going, yes, you want to try to get that. I heard last night that John Kasich was on the phone with several of the Jeb Bush supporters trying to see if he could get them to support him. I don't know if they'll just stay on the fence for a minute and just wait to see what happens in Nevada going forward.
All right, Dana, at the diner right now, Tucker Carlson's got a question for you.
Okay.
So, Dana, I've got kind of a philosophical question for you. I know you think about this stuff a lot. It seems like the divide within the Republican Party is maybe deeper and more emotional and more bitter than I realized. And that's a bad thing for a bunch of reasons. Is there anything that can be done to heal that? What can be done to heal that before this election, do you think?
Well, you know, I kind of remember this in 2008 even, and then especially in 2012, that the Republicans tend to have this constant churning of like, who are we? But this is how I like to look at it. Again, I'm an optimistic person. Big tent. And in a big tent, there's room for a lot of people. That should mean that we should be able to talk nicely to one another. And at this point, Donald Trump's win was so decisive. Can he figure out a way to get past the 40% of the ceiling that people say that he has? I think that he possibly can. However, it's a big stretch to ask for people who have voted Republican all of their lives, all of a sudden to turn and say, okay, now I'm going to be against trade. I'm going to be against entitlement reform. I'm going to be for Obamacare and the mandate. That's a big leap for a lot of people to make. So maybe there's a lot of emotion in there, but there's also a lot of thinking going on.
Sure. And Dana, one of the things the exit polls seem to indicate were a majority of Republican voters, historically Republican voters, feel betrayed by the Republicans who represent them in Congress and in the White House. And so this is a natural outgrowth of, you know, I feel like nobody's listening to me. I'm going to blow things up.
If you look at the top three winners last night, Trump, obviously very decisive, Rubio, and then Cruz, all three of those people are not like your traditional GOP next in line kind of person. So there is going to be change, and we'll see what happens going forward. I do think that Nevada will hopefully be decisive a little bit more. You winnow down that field. The John Kasich question is very interesting, and when Maria Bartiromo said she was going to have him on her show, you have to actually want to really listen to what is the justification for staying in. I think he actually has some good arguments. I don't necessarily think it means he thinks he can win the presidency right out, but I mean, maybe, I don't know. That's a good one. That's a little bit of mystery.
He may win Ohio, which would stop the momentum for Trump there and help Rubio potentially. That was one thought.
And you could argue with that. You could argue that the other way too.
Sure. All right. Dana, thank you very much.
Thanks.
We love you on the Five.
Thank you.
Thanks.